Session number 3 in Adobe Illustrator will be about using symbols. We're going to keep this pretty simple and pretty quick, but let's see. Let's start with taking a peek at the kind of thing that you might make. Now yours might not wind up looking like mine. Mine has kind of a hut with some grass and trees and a little guy standing there, and I've got some clouds and things like that. And I didn't have to draw all this stuff with the shape tools. I want to show you how I did it. I did most of it with symbols. Now to help you out a little bit, and I'm going to hide Illustrator here for a moment. To help you out a little bit, I'll try that again. Hide Illustrator, that's better. I've got a handout that will be parked on the Courses drive on Drive L. And what you'll look for, there will be a folder set up for this, and you'll look for this handout. It says Symbols right here, so I'm going to double click that and pull it up. And here's what's going on today. For this assignment, you get 20 points in the grade book. You have to build a picture using mostly symbols. All right, so the idea here is to use the symbol libraries in Illustrator to make a quick picture. It doesn't have to be anything all that fancy. It's only worth 20 points. I want you to get it done today in this class session. All right, well now here's some of the flow. You're going to need Adobe Illustrator running, so here's instructions about getting Adobe Illustrator going. And here's a few tips here. The Symbols library can be accessed by using the Symbols panel, and the button for the Symbols panel will be way over on the right hand side. It looks like a clover. And once you have the Symbols panel open, you can access different collections of symbols by clicking the little Symbol Options button right here, and that will help you get into different symbol libraries to find out what all is there. Now most of the rest of these tips and things I'm going to show you in Adobe Illustrator. You can always come back to this handout and look at the rest of these tips if you want to, but I'm going to demonstrate them for you in Adobe Illustrator. They are written right here. There's some instructions here for saving. When you save your work, you'll need to save it on Drive H, your network drive, and just call it Symbols. That's a good file name for this one. All right, now I'm going to go back over to Illustrator, and I'm going to close this one. This is one that's done. It's finished. It's just an example, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I want to show you how this is all going to work. When you're in Illustrator, you'll start by clicking File and clicking New. It might remind you that I'm working on a Mac, so it looks a little bit different here than it will on your computer, but the idea is the same. For the orientation, again, it's really kind of up to you. I would maybe slightly recommend you do landscape orientation. Portrait would work, but I'm going to use landscape. So I'll click OK there, and I have a new artboard. Now, we talked about shapes already, and you could, if you want to, I could come along here and take the rectangle tool and draw a good sized rectangle that covers almost all of my artboard, about like that, and then take that rectangle, which by the way right now is filled with white, and fill that with a kind of a sky blue color, because I want that to kind of look like sky, like that. Now I could do another rectangle, cancel that, and draw it down here on the part of the artboard that I didn't cover, about like that. It's blue right now. I don't want it to be blue. I'm going to double click that and just give it a green color, about like that. And you can do that if you want to. I just used a couple of rectangles to kind of cover up the artboard and make it look like there's ground and sky. It's like a horizon line. All right. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I'm just showing you how I did that. Now I'm going to go to work with symbols, and over here on the right hand side there's this button that looks like a clover. All right. Now here's one thing that could happen if by chance you don't see that button. All right. A couple ways you can fix it. Up here at the top, it probably is going to say Essentials, and if it does, if it says Essentials, you can click up here where it says Essentials and do a Reset Essentials, and what that does is rebuild all these buttons, and it should show up for you if by chance it doesn't. Now another way you could do it would be go to the Window menu and come down here to Symbols and click that, and that would do the same thing. The exact same thing as clicking the little clover button over here. So either way is okay. All right, now when I click this little clover button, there's really not too many choices here. Not much good. I do want to show you how these work. If I like this ink splat right here, if I just click this and drag it out here and drop it, see, it shows up. And I can use my black arrow tool to size that and make it bigger, things like that. All right, so, and if I want to get rid of it, I can just touch delete on the keyboard and that gets rid of it. But again, what I'm seeing here, boy, that's not very many symbols and it's not very many good options. So this little button right here gives you some other options, and one of the options is Open Symbol Library. When you go to Open Symbol Library, these are all collections of symbols that you can work with, and I don't have time to show all of them to you. You can investigate any of these libraries you want. I'm going to go to the primitive library because most of what I want for this picture is in the primitive library. I'm going to grab the bottom corner of that box and just stretch it out a little bit. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to start building this little scene that I want. And I think the first thing I'll put into place is this hut. Alright, I'll just take this hut, I'll drag it out of the symbol library and drop it. Now it's not very big, so I'm using the black arrow tool from the toolbar, and I'll just size it up to make it whatever size I want. I think I'll set it right over here. I can just drag it and put it wherever I like. Alright, I'm going to also take this ceremonial mask here, and I'm going to drop it and make it a little bit bigger. Gotta have it selected, and I want it to be kind of like a decoration on the top of the hut right there. Okay, lovely, there we go. Alright, now you see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of building a picture or an image out of these symbols. I'm just using symbols that I find and making something out of it. Alright, well, let's keep going here a little bit. How about we do some let's put this guy in here. I'll pull this guy out and make him a little bit bigger. He's going to be the guy who lives in this little hut. Very nice. And let's give him, pull out this little zebra. He's got a pet zebra who's standing kind of off in the distance here. Okay, and I think maybe he needs a nice tall tree perhaps, and I'm going to make that tree pretty big, kind of like that. Alright, now, I'm running into some problems here that I'm going to solve in a couple of minutes, so don't worry about that. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this, the symbols button here. Move this out of the way. Go back to the symbols button and open another symbol library. And I'm going to go let me see if I'm going to go to nature. And when I open the nature library, if I look at my floating panel, this is a lot like the swatches that we've used before. I've got this nature panel that I'm looking at, but primitive is still there. Alright, so I could switch back and forth between those if I want to, but I want to work with the nature panel a little bit now. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take some grass. There's actually several different kinds of grass here, and I could use, there's lots of kinds. I'll use grass 4. And I'm going to drag this out here and drop it. It's really small, so I'm going to make that quite a bit bigger. Drop it right about in there. Now here's a great trick. I'm getting some grass that kind of adds to the look of the picture, but I would like to have more than that. If you want to do it a quick way, I could keep dragging more of those symbols out, but I could also do this. If you hold down the Alt key on your keyboard, this is a two-handed thing. If you hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and you drag with the mouse, you drag that grass, you see what it does? It makes more grass. And I could do it again, Alt, drag. And I'll do it again, Alt, drag. Oops, I'm going to undo that with Control Z. I got the house that time. I didn't mean to get the house. Alt, drag on the grass, and I'm going to put some down here. Alt, drag again on some of this grass. I'll put some over here. And you see what I'm getting here. If I Alt, drag, it's kind of filling that in really nicely. I kind of like the way that's starting to look here. Alt, drag, Alt, drag. It's making it look like the grass is real thick and lush, and it's kind of covering up, the front part of the picture, and that's really kind of what I like. I like that. Also, here in the nature library, there's some clouds, and I think I'm going to drag out a cloud and stick it up here in the sky, and maybe I'll drag out another cloud and drag out another cloud. Those are different kinds of clouds, and they can be sized, of course. Click on them with the black arrow and size them as desired. Alright, so this is really kind of coming along. It's looking pretty good. But the one problem I kind of don't like here is the fact that this tree is in front of the hut. I don't like that. So we've got an order issue. I would rather have the tree be behind the hut rather than in front of it. And I'd like to have it behind this guy too. Well, a couple of things you can do. If I right click on that tree, I get this, one of the options here says arrange, and I can do all of these things like bring to front, send to back, bring forward, send backward. And you see some keyboard shortcuts. Now these are Macintosh keyboard shortcuts, but it's just control. You know, that little symbol there means control. So what I'm going to do is, if you hold down the control key, and again, kind of a two-handed thing, hold the control key on your keyboard and then just tap the left bracket on your keyboard, and what it does is move objects backwards in the stacking order. Now you see what I just did there. That tree is now behind the guy, behind the hut. That looks better. Now here's how it was before. If I do control and do right bracket, it brings that tree kind of up in front of things, and now you see, okay, the tree is in front of the guy, in front of the hut. That's not what I want. So control left bracket and control right bracket can help you restack things. All right, so I'm going to do control left bracket and just keep tapping the left bracket key until it gets back to where I want. Oh, got to select it first. It makes a difference. Have to have it selected, and then as I hit control left bracket here, it's going to eventually disappear behind everything that I want it to go behind. All right, so now I've got the, you know, the hut and the zebra and the tree, and I've got all the pieces of this, and I can still move them around a little bit if I want to rearrange some. And all right, we're looking pretty good. I've got a decent looking picture, just mostly made out of symbols. All right, so if you get it done, if you make something that you're happy with, and you go up to the File menu, you go to Save As. And again, like I've said many times, I'm working on a Macintosh, so this isn't going to look quite the same. But over here on the left, if you click where it says Computer, and then you're going to want to find drive letter H. That's your network drive. When you get to drive letter H, you double click it to make sure you're on drive letter H. You can just call this Symbols for the file name, SYMBOLS, and then you just save it. All right. That's it, folks. That's the assignment of the day. So it's your turn. Ready to go.